Thank you for granting us audience into your beautiful world. We are excited to have you on board. All right, so to the first question now. You are golden. You are a perfect reflection of possibilities and no doubt an inspiration to many young minds in the beauty industry and beyond. We love how you do not only continue to carve a niche for yourself, but you also mentor others to thrive. Please share some highlights of how you began your creative journey as a beauty expert and consultant.
Yeah, my experience as a beauty expert really started when I was 3 years old. So as a
Wow.
3 year old, I will never forget this. I got into a debate with my mom and my grandma about what a braid was versus a twist. And so I was doing a twist and I was saying that it was a braid, and my grandma and my mom, they were like, no, this is the braid. And so once they finally taught me, I started braiding everything that I could see in sight. And so I fell in love with hair very, very young and making things look beautiful. I started, my mom allowed me to do my hair for the first time when I was 10 years old. I actually have a picture somewhere around here in my house of my first picture day that my mom allowed me to, take our school pictures with my hair that I braided. And I started to style all of my friends throughout middle school, throughout high school, and even throughout college. I was a hairstylist of sorts. And so my journey with beauty really began in like when I was very young, because I liked the way that people felt and they reacted after they got their hair done, or how they felt about themselves, how they talked about their hair, how they adorned it and everything like that. And so that's really how I got started with it. I think that for me myself, I also have changed my hair up a lot. I used to have short hair for a long time. Um, and now, with Dosso Beauty, our hero product is our itch-free braiding hair. And so I've been wearing effectively braids for probably about 3 to 5 years straight. And I've never seen my hair be as healthy as it has ever been. It's long, full, and thick. And it really makes me happy to know that I finally found a product that not only works for my skin and my hair, but also has enhanced my health as well too, because of all the other toxic chemicals that are in the products that are, in the market. Me being able to create and to manufacture like clean and organic beauty products has been really helpful for my personal beauty journey. And I just encourage everybody that I see to make the transition and to clean products or products that don't contain really harmful chemicals.
Yeah, wow. That's so awesome. The consultancy part, how did you like transcend to that area? Was it a
Um,
difficult thing for you? Or was it like a personal decision, or like how did you transcend?
so I think so when I graduated from college, I started working in corporate America as a management consultant, but I already came in knowing that I like my dream was to because again, since 10 years old, I've been saying I want to build an organic beauty empire. And so like I automatically knew that me going into corporate America meant that I was going to learn as much as I possibly could and see how the big dogs effectively did it, and how well like all of these large companies and conglomerates could run their big, brands, and then like use some of that great information and or some of the things that they didn't do well to fund as well as to trying to fuel Doso Beauty. And so I think me transitioning full time in 2021, it was definitely a learning curve, but it was something that I would have never like I wouldn't change for the world. And I was just telling someone this yesterday. I'm like, that year of me leaving corporate America to really, bet on myself effectively for a year showed me a different outlook on money, a different outlook on how I'm truly affecting the people that are, we're servicing with our products. It showed me how, when you really bet on yourself and you put your time into something that is fulfilling and that that you're doing good in versus just a corporate job, that like how the universe comes back to you and tries to shows you effectively, you know what you put in is what you get out. And so I think that transition has been an amazing one for me and something that I would never trade for the world.
Yeah, wow. I think one thing I picked from what you said, like everything you said is very relatable. And one thing I would really notice the fulfillment part. There's nothing like doing what you love and waking up every morning to do what you love, and what you love is impacting people. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that. Can you quickly just share the inspiration behind Dosso Beauty? Like, I know you've talked about it already, but what
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, to go back to the actual main problem that we solve with Doso Beauty is providing access to clean and organic beauty products to people globally, right? And so the real source was that I grew up in West Philadelphia in the US, and in my local area there were only two beauty supply stores. Neither one of them were Black owned. They were both Korean owned, and when I would go into the store, because again, I was a young stylist as a elementary, middle school student. I would go in there with my mom, getting the products that I needed to style my client's hair and to style my hair. And all of the products had like a ton of big words and ingredients on the packaging that I didn't know what it meant or anything like that. So I would ask her a lot of questions. I've always been very inquisitive. So I would ask, the clerk or the person that was working at the store, the store owner, like, hey, like, what does this word mean? Right. And they're like, I don't know. Right. Like, and so when I went back, I started thinking, I'm like, well, if they don't know what's in the products that they're selling to us, then do they really care? Right. And so I started Doso Beauty because I cared about the ingredients and the products and the way that they were made, that was servicing our community. Right. And so I wanted to make beauty more simple because it can be very, very, difficult to understand. It can be very complex. Like, there's all these different terms and words and stuff like that. But I just wanted to make Doso Beauty very simplistic, from, you being a child all the way up to an elder, an adult. I wanted people to understand that, like, hey, like, beauty should be fun. It should not be difficult to understand. And it also should not be harmful to you in the process of, feeling good about yourself and boosting your confidence. Because truly, our motto is confidence is the key to success. And so if you're confident, you want to walk confidently in the products that you're using and how you're wearing them, and so on and so forth. So, just really making beauty simplistic and then giving access to clean and organic beauty supplies was really the motivation behind, starting the business and everything like that.
Yeah, that's so inspiring. And I'm just trying to not to say so much, but I must say this, like, there's something you mentioned, like, we use products and we don't even really know what are in these products, like, we just use them. But this aspect of what Doso Beauty is about is really beautiful. So we know that we are conscious, the products we use are consciously made and made for us, because the ingredients also matter. It's not just the aesthetics and everything. Yeah, thank you so much
Mm-hmm.
for sharing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what does art mean to you?
So I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. It was a little background noise. Say it again.
What does art mean to you?
Um, Art to me is a form of expression, and it comes in various different mediums, right? Like, when I think about art, and my medium would be hair and products and stuff, right? When I think about art, I think about an expression of emotion. I mean, for me personally, like, I switch up my hairstyle very often, right? Even though I'm using protective styles and braids and stuff like that, I always switch up my look because I have different feelings about what state or space I'm in, or what different look I want to have, or how I want to be portrayed in different areas. And I think, art is really and truly an expression of your personality, or, maybe something that you're longing to become, right? For example, someone might be very, very shy, but they love bold hairstyles or they love bold makeup. And that's what helps to, bring them confidence and everything like that. And so, no matter what your medium is, it's really an art form or an expression to be able to tell a story behind, who you are, or who someone else that you're trying to portray.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I didn't mention this at the beginning. You remember when I said we are also redefining art. So we are going beyond what just the society call art. Art is not just painting and drawing.
Hmm.
Art are those things, but it's beyond that. Art is your personality, like you said,
Hmm.
and it's just that thing that makes your heart beat, that you have passion for. So science can be someone's art, football
Hmm.
can be someone's art, sports can be someone's art, just the way beauty is your art. So yeah, Thank you for sharing your perspective of what art is. So Latifa just joined us. I would take the next question, and after that, Latifa will continue. So yeah, okay. We are grateful to have you on board this special issue with the theme Rise, in celebration of the inspiring women in the creative industry, and also to mark the 2023 International Women's Day. We understand how certain stereotypes, cultures, sentiments, and faulty orientations have stood as subtle roadblocks for women to thrive. For women to thrive boundlessly. Have you ever encountered any form of gender-based discrimination? Any quick tips for women who may have been victims of severe circumstances?
Absolutely. I mean, like, I work in an industry where Black women make up less than 3% of the market, but we consume over 87% of the ethnic hair care market. When we think about hair extensions specifically, it is very male, white, and Korean dominated. And so I'm often looked at as someone who's a consumer. I think about emails when people are trying to poach me to buy, you know, their product or their service. Their automatic response, especially if they're not culturally sound, is "Dear Sir," right? They automatically think that because I built this successful business, that, you know, I'm a man, right? Or, you know, that I have to be of some type of elite, you know, place. And I come from poverty. Like, I come from, my dad is from Cote d'Ivoire, West Africa. My mom is American. She grew up middle class, well, like lower middle class, like with my grandfather. And like my parents together came and bore me out of love, right? So, you know, although I was fortunate, definitely more fortunate than some, I did not grow up with a wealth of money. I did not grow up with a ton of resources. I grew up with a wealth of love and resourcefulness. And so that's what helps to drive the business. I mean, even the last name Dosso, right? My last name is Dosso. I named Dosso Beauty because Dosso is also synonymous for Fofana, which means hunter. And so I've effectively already been a hunter. And for beauty, I've always been on the hunt to find the best of the best clean and organic beauty products. And so, you know, going back to your question of experiencing different gender biases, cultural biases, that's always going to be a thing, right? I mean, when we think about beauty, the standard of beauty has always been white. It has never been, you know, the products and the marketing has never really been dedicated to, you know, support or reflect us as people of color. And so that's why I'm very, very adamant about putting beautiful Black faces on everything that we do, or sharing, you know, my face and hopping on different calls and interviews, showing that, like, hey, the person behind this product not only is the creator, developer of the product, but I'm also the consumer as well too, and my consumers look like me. So that's what also differentiates Dosso Beauty from a lot of the other large, you know, conglomerates. I mean, even when we think about some of the other successful male hair extension companies, right? Male owned. There are some Black male hair owned companies, right? Darling Hair Company is Black male owned, and it's amazing that, you know, it's a Black owned business, but he doesn't wear hair extensions. He doesn't understand the plight of 8 hours sitting in a chair to get your hair braided, or, you know, feeling confident 1 minute and then not feeling confident in another because your hairstyle is messed up, right? So like those are two, you know, I'm representing who I serve as well as the executive suite. And, you know, advice for other young female entrepreneurs is to not think about the biases, but to really prove yourself and what you're doing in your business by facts and numbers, right? My numbers and my stats show for what the potential of this $1 billion industry, what Dosso Beauty can do in this $1 billion industry, right? Our sales alone, our reviews, the 6 different placements that we have our products on shows that, like, hey, no matter what my gender is, no matter what my, you know, race is, that I'm defying all odds, and that I'm running in a race of my own and not really worrying about my competition.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really like the way you answer the question, sharing a relatable series of relatable stories that people can connect to, and then you still gave an answer to it by sharing how you've been able to deal with those situations. So thank you so much. I feel like that is even more inspiring because it's not just like a quote or anything, but a real life experience. Latifa, welcome, and you can take over from here. Please,
Thank
Latifa,
you,
meet
Eden. Thank
Kadidja.
you so much.
Please meet
Sorry?
Kadidja. Kadidja, meet Latifa.
Hi,
Hi, Latifa.
Kadidja.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah. I love your smile.
Thank you. Thank you. I got Invisalign, girl. You see some buttons probably.
Yeah. We love how
Uh,
you upload your values, even as you inspire the world with your story. Please share any quick tips for young creators battling with self-doubt.
Okay. It broke up a little bit, but you said share some tips for young creators who are battling with
Yeah,
self-doubt.
yeah,
Okay. Um, Imposter syndrome is real, I would say. Working in corporate America, and even like in some of the accelerator programs that I've done with Dosso Beauty, I've been in rooms where as though people are creating prosthetic, limbs for people, or people are developing and building computers. And I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to change the world with beauty. And at first I'm like, ooh, am I supposed to be here? And then I know I personally rely on my religion to believe that our higher power has created you specifically in every situation that you're in order, like, for your destiny, right? So, you are not going to be anywhere that you're not supposed to be at the end of the day, right? Like God for me puts me in these different rooms for inspiration, but also to showcase my confidence in that who He made me to be. And sometimes when you feel like you can't rely on yourself and what your talent is, you think about your purpose that you're here for, right? Think about your purpose that you've been put on earth for, the skill set that you develop easily or what comes to you naturally, and think about how your higher power or the people that you service need your superpower of sorts. And so I would encourage young people who have self-doubt to combat that by resorting to whatever it is that your faith is, but also doing the work and really understanding and building that skill set that you need to be really excellent in everything that you're doing. Sometimes self-confidence comes from, again, imposter syndrome, or even worrying about what other people are kind of doing, right? That's within your lane or you're in everything like that. But you really can only focus on what it is that you want to do with your business, with your mindset, with your art, and focus on that, and let that be the motivation to keep you going and growing and learning and everything as well too. But when you have that knowledge, and when you have the time that you've put into your craft, then that's the confidence that it should exude as well too, because now that your skill set is strong because you've worked on it for a ton of time, or because you've learned about it, because you've been in the different spaces to help you to develop and become greater.
yeah.
I really admire what you just said. You said something that I don't think people take note of. A lot of times you lose confidence. Perhaps it's pertaining to like we're not really good at what we do, we're not there yet. And you said something about self-development, like you just have to improve on what you're doing. And I think when you know what you're doing, you get better at what you do. You get more confident about what you do and yourself. So I totally agree with what you said. It's always beautiful to thrive in one's passion. What would you consider most fulfilling about your journey, your creative journey?
Okay, and one of the words cut out. You said, what would you consider most?
Most. Yeah, Latifa,
Yeah,
you're breaking.
most fulfilling. Sorry, I'm on the road. I'm inside cab.
Oh, you're on the road.
No
Yeah,
worries.
I'm inside cab.
Okay, let me quickly take that. It's always beautiful to thrive in one's passion. What would you consider most fulfilling about your creative journey? It's
Okay,
fine, Latifa.
I think the
I'm
thing I find
good.
most. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Latifa. Okay. All right. What I think I find the most fulfilling about my creative journey is I like to call myself a visionary and an executionist, right? In the sense that if I see something, I have to make it happen, right? And also now what I've been doing more often than just saying, hey, I want to do this, let's just do it, is like adding that strategy piece. And I can say for myself, that's been a part of my personal development, is like thinking like, okay, this seems really, really cool, but logistically, how does it work? So for me, being a visionary and like making things come to life or speaking things into existence, the act of me going through the process of envisioning something in my head, or maybe getting inspiration from somewhere, and then seeing it come into real time and physically, especially with my medium of like hair and hair products and stuff like that, and skincare and makeup, that's what's really fulfilling to me, is to say, hey, again, I came from this background that was very humble, that was a poverty of sorts. And then this little girl who, statistics showed that like I wasn't supposed to succeed, or I was supposed to have children really young, or, I might have been married off really young if I was born and raised in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. Like, I have been able to build this amazing thing that impacts thousands and thousands of people, and will one day impact millions of people. And so, tangibly seeing the products that I've developed, that I've done the R&D for, that I've helped with the packaging, that, I've worked with experts in every realm, is what's really most fulfilling to me. But then the part B to that is really the feedback that we get from the customers. Dozens and hundreds of customers say, hey, you've changed my life with your braiding hair, right? I have been searching for decades for braiding hair that was itch free. I have terrible scalp conditions, I have eczema, and nothing would work. And I've always wanted to protect my hair and have the protective style, but I couldn't until you developed Dosso Beauty and put it into the market, because it's not only affordable, but it's natural and it feels good, so I think those are two of the most fulfilling things for me, that I get out of my art medium.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I don't know if Latifa's network is.
Yeah, I'm here, Eden. I'm here, Eden.
Yeah, and let me just take the remaining questions, right? Because of time, but just stand by, please. All right. Do you feel creatives in the developed countries are at advantage than those in the developing countries?
You said, how do I feel?
Yeah, I said, do you feel creatives in developed countries at advantage than those in developing countries?
That's a very interesting question. So what I would say is that in underdeveloped countries, what I would say is they have certain advantages as far as their niche audience, and understanding that, like, in certain developing countries, if this person who has a spectacular art medium of sorts, then everybody knows them in that country. But what I would say is that they're disadvantaged to the scope in which they can build their brand, right? For example, and I'm not saying that Philadelphia is a developing country at all whatsoever, or a developing city, but I will say that a lot of the Philadelphia mentality, or where I come from, is that, hey, I want to be Philly famous, right? So they might know a lot of people or be well known in the local area, but their mind gets stuck in that local area, and they don't realize that whatever their art medium is can impact the world. And so I think for me personally, coming from a father who is an immigrant that came over, well traveled, has lived in Paris, has lived in, different countries, that gave me the introspect to say, hey, not only is this something that I want Philadelphians or the people in the US to experience and use, this is a global brand, right? That people are suffering worldwide, that they need access to as well too. So I think there are some advantages as far as like being locally known, but they're severely disadvantaged when it comes to the resources that they need in order for their medium to be shown to the world, or what, different resources that they might need to help better their actual, art form, and, classes, and funding, and, just connections and all those things as well too. But I think it does make it, when they make it, it makes it even better to have that story of like, hey, I come from this developing country or this developing city, that, locally I'm known, but now I've been able to grow and expand. And that's what really inspires others to big dreamer than, beyond the means of where they grew up at, or their city or their village.
Yeah, I totally agree with you very much. I totally agree with you because I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Africa, so I can relate very well to everything you
Mhm.
said. All right. Next question. We understand balancing work time, rest time is a struggle for many creatives. Please share a few tips on how you try to balance work time, rest time, and family time.
Yeah, I think I have a few tips. My first tip is for me personally, I struggled with it last year. Last year again was my first year of doing Go So Beauty full time. And I realized that I was getting burnt out. I love makeup, I love hair, I love all things beauty. I love going out, I love cooking. And I noticed that I was not doing those things because I was working way too much and focusing on growing and scaling the business, taking care of my employees, and I wasn't pouring back into myself. And so for me personally, I've poured a lot into doing the things that make me happy and make me feel fulfilled, whether that impacts anybody else, and not thinking about, hey, I have to work on the business 24/7 hours a day, but really developing a strong team and all the foundational pieces in the areas that we were missing so that I don't have to do the extra work, right? So that I can take the time to go to the spa or take the time to cook, which for me, cooking is my solitude. My grandmother, who passed away in 2017, she taught me how to cook, and she was the closest person to me and my family. And I really feel her spirit when I'm cooking, which is why I love to cook. And I think about the things that she would do and the seasoning she would do, how she would prepare things, and how when we cook together, I was able to teach her some nuanced ways of, cooking collard greens. Like, we're going to make collard greens, but we're going to add kale in it, right? Some healthy stuff. And like, instead of putting ham in it or pork in it, let's put turkey because it's a little bit healthier. So I think about those things, and those make me happy when I'm cooking. And I think also cooking, also gives me a time to get off of my phone and off of the laptop because I'm looking at a screen all day long. I'm touching products, in the warehouse all day long. And so it's really a helpful way for me to release and like just be one with myself and in my ancestors. So I think, finding things that you love outside of the work that you do or the business that you're in, I think is really important because it helps you to not forget who you are and not make yourself become the business. You still are remaining true to yourself.
Wow. So this is more than an interview, right? You're already giving us like TED Talk as a master class. We cannot
I
wait
love
to
it.
hear, because we know that everyone that listens to this will definitely be inspired and would learn a lot.
Mhm.
There's something you said about not making yourself the business, right? Like, you are a
Mhm.
human, so you have to remember your own personality. Like on my business page, sometimes some people say hello Eden, and I don't reply
Mhm.
as Eden because this is my
Yeah.
business. Reply to me on my personal page, right? So I
Yeah.
really understand how sometimes we may just absorb ourselves so much that we now become the business. We cannot differentiate between that. I've never really heard it that way, but I just learned that. So thank you so much.
You're
Um,
welcome. You're welcome.
what does success mean to you?
Ooh, that's always such a big question for me. Success means to me, or what success, in general has always mean to me is the definition of not failing, right? But like not failing is also has a new definition as well too to me, because I think that in business and in life, certain things are just not going to go your way, right? Like certain things are not going to happen. You're going to get a ton of no's and things like that. But failure to me doesn't mean that I received a ton of no's, or I might not have gotten the funding that I needed for something, or I might not gotten to a program, but it means my willingness to continue to strive beyond adversity, right? So success is like, hey, if I've been saying I wanted to go to the gym for a month and I haven't been, but I go on one day, out of that, the next week, that's success to me because I then not only spoke into existence that like, hey, I would like to work out, but I got up and I did it. Right. I think success is where your dreams meet reality, and whatever that reality is really defined by you. And so um being successful does not always have to be a grand gesture, and I as a kid I'm like, I want to make $1 million, until you're close to $1 million and you're like, okay, now I know what $1 million means. I actually need more, right? Or like you're like, okay, well, like I see what I can do with $1 million. Now I want $1 billion. So you keep striving for more. But it's more so just saying, hey, I have put this idea of something that I wanted to do to impact myself and impact my community. And now I'm able to grow and scale it because I have a good handle of it. Right. So yeah, really just your dreams meeting reality in whatever form that is, big or small.
Yeah. Where your dreams meet reality. That's it. That's it for me. Wow. That is awesome. I think I'm going to write that down.
I need to write it down too.
And I'm going to write your name beneath in my diary. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because yeah, I get that part where you said so my mom is going to write it down now. She was listening to what you were saying.
I love it.
She just carried her notes and she went to write it down. So you're not just inspiring me, you're inspiring everyone here and the hundreds and thousands of people that will listen to this. The beautiful thing about interviews is that they don't expire, they don't like fade out, they will always be there, and people, even the unborn generation, will listen to this and bless the day you were born.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I love that.
Yeah, wow. See, Maureen is clapping. Wow, this is awesome. All right. Please, I'm going to copy from your notes when you're done after this interview. Okay, I've just been smiling all through this interview, and it's so sad that we're getting towards the end of the interview. Can you tell us something we may not know about Kadidja Dosso?
Many people do not know that I have various talents outside of just beauty and business. I actually sing pretty well. I sung all throughout my career. It's like a family trait. That's one thing that people who may not know me in the business world or the beauty world know, that I sing. Other people, it's really funny. I think when I mention cooking, everybody is surprised. They're like, "You cook?" I'm like, I love to cook. Like, cooking is one of my superpowers, and one of the ways that I express love, because I love the complexity of food. I love flavors. I love trying new spices. I love all the things about food and everything like that. That's something else that people might not know. One of the most surprising, I think people don't know, is that I'm very introverted. I would prefer to be by myself, but I understand, again, going back to my mission and my purpose, like I understand that God has created this being of who I am and given me knowledge and given me experiences to be able to share with the world. Because, if I just have all these amazing experiences and conversations like this, or I'm put into these different rooms and I can't share that with the world to inspire people, then what did he give it to me for? Right. And so really, truly being able to like continue to understand the my purpose and being driven in that, that's what motivates me to hop on interviews, right? I'm not afraid to. I just prefer to be by myself and in silence, or with music and food. But I love people and I love hearing stories. I love learning about stories. I love biographies. Like, if I could have been made a career in history and made a lot of money out of it, I would have. And I think I still can technically, but I think history is something also that's really, really big for me. And I mean, if you couldn't tell throughout this interview, like legacy is just such a huge thing for me. That, I mean, I hope that outlasts, like you just mentioned, my days on earth, but that like I just continue to build this legacy for my children and for other people that I might inspire, to really just follow your dreams, no matter how big or small you might think they are. They're impacting the world in a much larger way than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow, Kadidja, you've spoken brilliantly in every conversation, even in the things that one may not have expected, that we may learn so much from this aspect. Like you have so much depth of wisdom and all. Thank you so much. And the last but not the least question, if let's go a little poetic. If poetry is a rainbow and you have a choice of one color in that palette, what would that color be and why? Like simply, sometimes people get confused at this question. It's just going round and round. The simple thing about the question is, what's your favorite color on the rainbow and why?
Okay, so funny enough, I think that I don't know. I have to give two colors if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. I would say the first one is black. Black is my favorite color because of this diversity, right? I think that when I think about the color black, I think about black being chic. I think about black being fashionable. I think also about black being one of the colors that you can add any other color to it and it still stands alone and is bold. Right. So I think when I think about black, I'm like, oh my God, black is so beautiful. Right. When I think about my people, I'm like, black is so beautiful. And it's, it's standalone. When you see somebody, you're like, oh, so breathtaking. Right. And so black is one of them. The other color for me that I really love is pink. Pink is
Oh,
like I think so interesting because I flop to pink
yeah.
very, very easily. Like pink is just like I think it helps to excuse me, verbalize and like visualize my femininity. And I say that because of a few reasons. Number one, because I'm a woman in business, and a lot of times people expect me to just be hard and dogmatic and oh, she's all business and she's no play, she's no pleasure. But I'm a very fun person and I love adventure. And I think I also am very feminine in the sense that, like, again, I'm rooted in like, I love making things beautiful, like makeup, the hair, like all the things, like it's beautiful. But like my mentality, because of the men that I was raised by, because of my maternal grandfather, him having me lay concrete and bricks as a 4-year-old, it's like, yes, I do a lot of man things, right? But like I love being a woman, like everything about it, right? And so I think I would definitely have to say pink is my second favorite color. Black trumps everything though, because black is just transcendent. When you mix all the colors, you know, it just like again, everything that you put towards black, it stands out on its own and it speaks for itself.
Yeah. Wow. Like pink is my favorite color too. But many of my friends say, "Oh, pink is babyish and all," but I maintain pink. Yeah, since when I've been till now, it's been. So there's something about you that is really beautiful. What's really beautiful is how, like, very little things you expose it in very beautiful ways that people wouldn't have imagined. Like we just asked a question of color, yet there's still so much to learn from that. How you talked about how black can stand on its own, how black, whatever is thrown at black is still black, and all, like so much depth. Like thank you so much. I'm sure I'm not just speaking for myself. Every one of us totally enjoyed having you around, having you on board, and we cannot wait to share this with the world. Thank you so much, Kadidja. We are so happy that